Hello, so welcome to another session of cloud computing. So today we will study here about infrastructure as a service, which is also referred as your IaaS. Now we know that there are three service models here for your cloud computing system, starting from your infrastructure as a service, then the platform as a service, and then software as a service. So today we will start here with the very first, which is your infrastructure as a service. Now, this infrastructure as a service, this service model here in cloud computing is used for the delivery of the technical infrastructure. This is here used for providing the technical infrastructure which is required here for your cloud computing. That means it is the foundation here for the network architect for your cloud computing system. That means you require various devices, various machines here uh, for providing the cloud services. So that means this is providing here the infrastructure for your cloud computing system. So that means it here provides access to the fundamental resources like your physical devices, like your virtual machines, physical or your virtual machines here, or your virtual storage devices here. Now, we are using here the concept of virtualization in your infrastructure as a service, which we have discussed before also, that we are using the concept of virtualization because we have to provide here like virtual machines, virtual servers, the virtual storage devices. So that means we are migrating these physical devices to your virtual system. So we will study here about the migration to the virtualized system here. What are the things which need to be considered when we are migrating to this virtualized system here? So this infrastructure as a service here uses the concept of virtualization. That means it is providing here the whole network architecture, or we can say that the infrastructure for a cloud computing system with the help of virtualization. So, what are the various things which are here offered by your infrastructure as a service? So, your IaaS here offers virtual machines. Your virtual machine disk storage. Moreover, it also provides here the virtual local area networks. Virtual local area networks. Then it provides load balancers for the network. Load balancers and other resources like your software bundles and your IP addresses. So these are the things, a number of resources which are here offered by this infrastructure as a service. Your virtual machines, your virtual disk storage, as we have studied, that we have different kind of virtualization, starting from your hardware virtualization, your application virtualization, your desktop and virtualization, server and storage virtualization. So above that, it offers here the virtual local area networks, the load balancers, and the other resources like your IP addresses and even bandwidth allocation. So all of these resources are here made available to the end user via with the help of virtualization, like your server virtualization. So these resources are then accessed by the customers as if they own them, like they have all these resources with them, but in reality these are the virtual instances which are provided here by the cloud services. Now, if we just look at here the scenario for your infrastructure as a service, if you just have a look at how the complete infrastructure or this architecture here looks. So, we will start here, like from the very first you have the end user and you have software owner. Like for at one end we have here the end user. Here you will be accessing the system. So this is here the firewall. Then we have load balancers, like this is here your load balancer. Then this is just the scenario here for the end user, like here this is the power resource computation. At the other end what you have the software owner here, like this is here the software owner. Now here what you have the virtual machine. This is the virtual machine here. Now that means here what you have the infrastructure as a service vendor, because he's providing here the IaaS services. Now what will happen? This is the virtual machine. So this virtual machine here, this VM here is uploaded to the storage. That means now we will have the storage database here also. So here this VM is uploaded to the storage. Like this. So that is uploaded here. So what will happen? Now this will be accessed by the end user. So for that, what you will have here the virtual machine automation. So that means after that, the virtual machine automation, what happens? That means this virtual machine here is deployed and started. So we can say that VM is deployed and started here. So this is the scenario. From your software owner, then we have the end user. That means you have here the virtual machine that is uploaded to the storage here. Then virtual machine automation takes place. So that means it is deployed here and started. So that's how this user here can access the virtual machine, or we can say that the various virtualized resources here. So this is the scenario here for we can say that a brief of the architectural representation for your infrastructure as a service here, that how the virtual infrastructure is created and how it will be provided and used by the customers. So this is a representation here for your infrastructure as a service. Now next we will see that what are the various benefits here of your IaaS. So it provides here a number of benefits. Now this infrastructure as a service allows the cloud provider to freely allocate the or freely locate the infrastructure over the internet in a very effective manner so that it can be accessed by the various users. So that means it comes here with the various advantages, like it has full control of computing resources through administration access. That means you have full control to the virtual machines through the administrative access. The next is like the flexibility and efficient renting of the various hardware. After that, portability, interoperability with your legacy application. So the very first one is that your IaaS, infrastructure as a service, allows the consumer to allows the consumers to access the computing resources. Now, what will happen, that how the consumers can access the computing resources. Now the consumers basically issues the administrative commands to the cloud provider. Consumer here issues the administrative command to the cloud provider to run the virtual machine or to save the data on the cloud server. Now, after that, next thing, consumer can also issue the administrative commands to virtual machine they own to start the various web services or to install new applications. That means can issue the administrative command to the cloud provider here for running the server or for installing the applications or the softwares which they require here. So what they need is they're provided here with these commands here. That's how this service model allows the consumer to access the computing resources here, because they can ask to run that virtual machines to save the data on the cloud server, or to run the or to start the web server or to install the new applications. That means they have this flexibility of accessing these resources here. Now the various vendors which are providing here these services are like your Amazon Web Service, after that like your Cisco Metapod, and then Google Compute Engine. So a particular use case for your infrastructure as a service can be like it extends the current data center infrastructure for a temporary workload. That means the workload is increased at some particular time, so it can extend that data center infrastructure. So this was the first benefit here, that it allows the access to the computing resources for the consumers. Now, the next one is that the flexible and efficient renting of resources or your computer hardware. Flexible and efficient renting of resources. Now, the resources such as your virtual machines, your storage, even the bandwidth, IP addresses, firewalls, etc. So all these resources are made available to the consumers on the rent. So that means consumer has to pay based on the length of time they retain a resource. That means they have to pay according to the usage here. So that is how it is flexible and efficient, that they do not have to keep the resource like on a monthly or basis. So it just depends upon the length of time they are retaining that particular resource. They are using that particular resource here. So after flexible and efficient renting of resources, what it offers is that portability, interoperability among various applications. That means it offers portability. So that means new applications such as web servers or like your email servers that runs on consumer owned server hardware that can run on the virtual machine in your IaaS cloud. That means they can be interoperable here with certain applications here. So that means it provides interoperability also. So after the benefits of infrastructure as a service, we will see the various characteristics of this deployment model. So, this infrastructure as a service, that means the virtual machines here are, or we can say that the virtual machines with pre-installed softwares. We have virtual machines with pre-installed softwares. Now, softwares like your Windows or your Linux, etc. Now, the most important characteristics is that we have the feature of on-demand resources. Then, it allows to store copies of particular data in different locations. That means distributed storage. So this is the one of the benefit here for a cloud computing, that if one of the storage resources is corrupted, so you can access the same information from some another resource, because we have, or it allows us to store the multiple or different number of copies for particular data in different locations. Now, next is that it allows us the scaling of the resources. That means resources can be scaled up or down according to the requirements. Resources here can be scaled up or down according to the requirements. So these are here the characteristics for your infrastructure as a service. So in this class we have studied about the infrastructure as a service model here, that what it offers, what are its various advantages. So we will study more here about the cloud computing concepts in our next classes. So this is all for today here. Thank you so much.